Shooting with an analog format in a digital world. Will the analog film format die out even after the most recent popularity spike in the last 4 years? It's already clear that digital is not going anywhere, and it's constantly evolving with better and better iterations each day. But the question is if the analog format will continue to evolve with the modern technology. Why has analog as a format become popular again? Whilst it may be impossible to list all the reasons for this, we believe it's partly to do with social media such as Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, increasing the popularity of the film format with hashtags such as 35mm film, films not dead, shooting film, and film photography have been trending amongst the influences in the last few years. Maybe it's a strange coincidence of fate, but Instagram and Polaroid share the same square format. Celebrities such as Kendall Jenner endorsing the analog film format also plays a big role. Or perhaps it's the unknown factor with film. Film has seen a new breath of fresh air with the younger generations being intrigued and wanting to shoot on the medium again. Whether digital just can't quite recreate the feel, warmth, characteristic uncertainty and unpredictability. The little camera issues such as age degradation, dust, dirt, static, light leaks, physical damage to the negatives, and camera jamming. Why would someone limit themselves to 36 photos and pay development when they have a device in their pocket that lets them take millions of pictures? We're going on a journey to interview industry professionals within the film business to answer these questions. Team contacts Michael Razo, a true believer of the film format, running his own business which brings back the formats that time forgot.
My passion for analog film has a lot to do with my age, and the fact that I was born in the 1960s. So when I was growing up, there were no other options other than to shoot film, and I grew up in a middle class working class neighborhood, and my dad was a film enthusiast, and he would shoot all of the holidays, um, both still photography and movie film, and I just took a liking to it this year and beyond, and even in the last year, a huge resurgence of people either getting into photography and cinematography using film or rediscovering it. And I think that the great turn of the century digital discovery, the limitations of digital photography, is what entices people to go beyond, to use film as a medium to create photographs and movies that do not resemble digital at all. I mean, film still has an aesthetic that is unlike any medium, and it is a medium that you have to work with. You have to be very dedicated to get the results you're looking for. So whether it is still photography or cinematography, certainly there are an awful lot of cameras that are automatic where you just pop your film in and shoot. But there are so many folks that are going beyond that of then developing their own film and discovering the whole photochemical aspect. Um, the price of using film is always looming over everyone's head that uses film, what the cost is and can one afford to use it, especially when shooting a movie. A roll of Super 8 film, generally speaking, is about $30 US, um, and that's three plus minutes, 3.5 minutes of film. That's not including the processing. So the cost has to be really weighed, and all of us here at the Film Photography Project, we're always trying to. We consider ourselves thrifty, and not cheap, but thrifty in a sense that we want to squeeze as much out of our hard-earned cash as humanly possible. And that's something we always think about when introducing new products or offering new services. But the fact is, prices for everything are just going up and going up and going up. The film photography project was started in 2009 by myself with longtime college friend John Fideli. And it started simply as a podcast. And at that time, um, podcasting was relatively new, and we were able to grow a listener base rather quickly. And at that time, 2010, 2011, we started doing little meetups where literally we would just announce, hey, we're going to be at the Lomography store in New York City on this date, and show up. And then 50 people would show up. We did the same thing in London at Lomography in 2011 and 2012. And then as the sort of cast of the podcast kind of grew to a group, that's when we started initializing what we call walking workshops. And they're free workshops. They're usually annual, and we usually have them somewhere in the middle of the United States so that people can come to it from both coasts. And they're free, the minimal cost. At these workshops, we've done the basics in film photography of developing color film, developing black and white film, using large format film because so many people have never seen a large format camera. Wet plate, what is that about? What does it look like? So we'll have a wet plate photographer do a presentation. The school camera donation program, which we started here in the United States, we send out a call to all of our podcast listeners to, if you have any analog gear that you're not using, send it to the FPP. We'll take it in, catalog it, and then when professors from high schools or universities contact us, we will send those cameras back out to those classrooms at no cost. So that program has been going on for many, many years. It's quite successful. Many of the teachers and professors do not have budgets to buy film photography equipment because we all know the budgets go to athletics.
You can't see any of the photos until they're developed, and you only get 21 to 36 shots per reel. So these 36 shots become all the more special, as you're having to monitor the camera settings more vigilantly. If you're taking on the film development process yourself, you've got your own human error to worry about. You've just got to hope for the best sometimes. Film has become more than just a format. It's an art form. It's a process that takes time and diligence. We head to Birmingham city centre to interview Birmingham's most recognised freelance photographer, Ross Jukes. Ross was born and is based in Birmingham, doing a range of commercial work for big brands to local cafes. Ross has managed to work both film and digital into his personal and professional work with the love for the analogue format. Interviewer Archie Locke questions Ross on how and why he uses film in this digital age.
So it's kind of funny. So I've been professional with photography for at least the past 4 or 5 years, and I've only really started shooting film again in the last 12 or 18 months. And all of a sudden I've gone to shooting pretty much 100% of my personal work now is shot on film, because I'm enjoying the process so much. Whereas with the commercial work and things like that, yep, I still shoot digital. Not many clients are willing to pay you to shoot film on the off chance that it might come out or might not come out. But definitely all of my personal work, I'm pretty much shooting it exclusively on film at the moment. So yeah, it's been a real change for my passion for film. I've shot film years and years ago when I was younger, and I just enjoyed using a camera and just physically going out and taking photos. I never really thought too much about the process, the actual using film. And it was only really in the last kind of 18 months, certainly while we've been in lockdown, that I've returned to using film. And really got a lot of enjoyment from the actual process of slowing down and thinking about what I'm doing rather than using digital. And because I process the film at home and scan the negatives myself, I really like having full control over the process from start to finish. I think the main thing is that platforms like Instagram and social media in general, it's nice to try and find a niche to attach yourself to, and the film photography community is very supportive, very cool, and also the style of photos that you see that are shot on Analogue generally are quite atmospheric and have a lot of character to them. So I think that's kind of really got people's kind of creative juices flowing with that. And I think also, there's lots of publicised people shooting film cameras. So you've got, is it Kendall Jenner shooting, lots of Frank Ocean and people like that. So there's always going to be a little bit of celebrity around that. But also I think, like I say, it's quite a rewarding process. So if you like photography anyway, there's a lot of satisfaction in actually shooting Analogue, and that's definitely helped with the resurgence. Shooting film in this kind of digital age, like I say, it's quite a rewarding process because there's so many challenges involved with it. There's so many opportunities for you to basically mess up a shot or mess up the developing process, meter it wrong. So when you actually get the shot right, it is quite a satisfying feeling. Whereas with digital, it can be quite easy just to sit in an auto mode, let the camera do all the hard work. So there's a lot of satisfaction involved with it. But again, I go back to the thing of definitely with social media, when you get a shot that you're really happy with and really invested in, it's something that you just want to push and let people see. Yeah, so definitely looking back at the last 12 months, I can see reasons why film's gone up in price, and there's obviously impacts with COVID and things like that in terms of manufacturing and distribution and stuff. But also there's been a real resurgence in film as well, so lots more people want to get hold of it, and it's understandable that companies would put the prices up when something's in high demand. The biggest problem that I have with that is it's very restrictive for people to get into shooting film. Even for somebody like myself that shoots large format, when I'm spending nearly £10 on a single sheet of film, it's really kind of restrictive. So it's such a shame that the prices have gone up, but this is where I say to people just getting into analog photography, look for some of the cheaper black and white stocks, shoot expired film. Don't be afraid to embrace those mistakes and stuff, because you're going to waste a lot of money on shots that don't come out and shots that don't work, and that's part of the process, that's part of the learning process, and it can be quite costly. But when you compare it to going and spending thousands of pounds on a digital camera, there's a lot of cheaper ways to get into analog photography than there is digital. So swings and roundabouts.
After talking to these industry professionals, we can see that film is going to be around for a while. Though the stark increase in price for the range of cameras and the finite availability of vintage camera bodies, camera prices have increased by sometimes hundreds of pounds in the last 2 years. In order for the future of film to succeed and still be accessible, making them more affordable whilst meeting the demand and giving newer generations a reason for investing in the medium. Maybe you can be one of the reasons why film will live on. So go out, find a camera, wipe the dust off, and go take some photos.